Good morning, Saturday morning, right here. Hopefully you got your coffee too, and we got an exciting radio show. I know I've been absent from the channel this week. I haven't actually um, posted much of anything this week, but we got something else here, a recent acquirement. So stick around and everything. So we're going to go ahead and read the comments. Again, sorry if your comment was not read. It's either you commented after the fact that we did this production, or your comment just didn't appear in the feed for some reason. It got kind of pulled. So anyway, here we go. Stephen K. Awesome collection of Colt 1911s. JW, my favorite are World War II versions with the arch mainspring housing, spur hammers. My favorite is the Colt Series 70, the Mark IV, basically. I recently acquired. Mine too. I like that because of the configuration. It pretty much is like the old World War II gun, just a better finish on it. All right, I carry this one. You know what? I know who else carries one. Every day and shoot it regularly. I've considered getting one from the CMP, but not sure. I want Arsenal gun that is mixed match parts. And you know, that is kind of the downfall of the CMP ones. They are kind of mixed matched. I've seen both, like where some are good, some are not even original parts from the era, the replacement parts and stuff. So that's kind of unfortunately. So all right, I'll keep looking. Saving up some money for the original World War II one someday. They are not cheap. They really are not. To me, they're getting to the point where the money is exceeding really what you're getting. I understand like the history part of it is still what's driving it. It's cool, the historical aspect of it, but I mean, you got to really look up and do your research in those, because the last thing you want to do is shell out a whole bunch of money for something that is mixed up or wrong or been rebuilt or something like that. It's really hard. Those are really hard to look into, basically, is what I'm saying. So just be careful. All right, Harrison Mantooth. Wow, I'm impressed. BATJAC, that is one fantastic collection you have. I have to agree with you. If you have your heart set on anything, do not let anyone deter you from achieving your goal. I bow to pressure a salesperson, and I regret I regret it still today. Yeah, sometimes they pressure you into things, and you look back and you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. For me, it's hard. They're never going to talk me into anything because I'm pretty much dead set on what I want, and it's usually involving a movie. And that was back in 1969. Thanks for sharing your awesome collection with us. You're right. Place to pick up some. You're in the right place to pick up some great deals and an assortment to pick from. Stan, yes. And we'll talk about my recent. Employment, which is going to be very interesting as well. All right, Danger Man, I have to commend you on your collection. Outstanding. I have two 1911s, no Colts, just inexpensive ones. And nothing wrong with those. I have a T-Sauce that's a $400 1911. It's one of my favorite ones to kind of tinker around with and mess around with. Of course, it's a repro of the World War II gun. All right. But they work just as well, and they're fun to shoot. So I respect your passion. I suffer from the '70s movie revolver affliction. Yes, there's no cure for that either. Yeah, I know. There is something about that, and I have a thing about those snub nose revolvers, and there's so many of them out there that I still have not been able to obtain because of the prices. I mean, the prices are just stupid. All right. So I had to be careful, as I could very easily become addicted to collecting 1911 as well. To 12-step programs no 12-step programs can cure this. Yeah, I mean, everybody says, well, how many more 1911s do you need? I said, one less than I have. All right, Sean Lee, very nice collection. BATJAC, a Colt 1911 Commander in 9mm with pearl grips is next on my list. Yeah, I agree. The pearl grips are... those are really a nice touch. And if you ever want to like make them look a little bit more cool when you get your pearl grips, assuming you're going to get some synthetic ones, unless you buy the real thing, which nothing wrong with that. Hey, if you can do it, do it. But Wash them in some brown leather dye. It'll, if you want to age them a little bit, that'll give it a look. I've done that to some pearl stuff. All right. Slimfire 54, just a great video and awesome collection of some nice Colt 1911s. JW, my first 1911 was some off-brand 45 ACP in 1987. I had some trouble with it and had it at a gun shop. The man behind the counter told me, if you want a great 1911, buy a Colt in 45 ACP. Thanks for the video. Slim, P.S. Love the collector's radio shows. All right, thank you. And and that's why we do it. You guys you guys love it, so we continue to do it. Jerry Johnson, the number 2. I like the 70 series 1911 design too. Another fantastic collector's radio show. JW, thank you. All right, an Angry Ranger. Yep, the only auto loader in my safe is a 1911 A1 in 45 ACP. It is surrounded by single action and double action revolvers. That just makes it stand out even more. All right, Scottish American, 100% right. That perk is widespread and can influence some guys and gals trying to sell. So I always told my guys, never push a certain brand. You ask questions and show the firearms that match their needs. Nothing wrong with pointing out the features that may be better, etc. But never steer the customer one way for your own gain. Yeah, and never push your opinion. I mean, I'm very. Some people maybe consider me like I don't push opinions. I don't say, well, that sucks or that doesn't or whatever. I just don't. I let them, and I'm not really the guy to talk to about modern stuff at all because that's just not an area of interest, and I'm one of those people where if I'm not interested in it, I like this brain up here just goes discard. Delete. So, all right. Another one here from Scottish American. I think he's still crazy, though. I have a couple special 1911s in my collection, deciding on what direction to go with my 1911 build. It is a commander size, so many ways this could go. Magazines for 1911s are hit and miss. I bought some cheaper ones on C, D, and N. Before they were exactly that cheap. I've had good luck with Wilson Combat magazines. Yeah, and if I had anything to say about that, I will give the opinion here on the radio show for you guys. And I'm not just being a fanboy, but I stand pretty hard behind Wilson Combat parts and definitely their magazines. I do not run any other magazines other than Wilson Combat magazines. Just over time, that's just kind of what I felt with and what works. And I do believe, to me, like again, I mean, I know I'm kind of sounding like a fanboy here, but I do like Wilson Combat stuff. I read the book, but make your own decision on that. I mean, everybody's got their own thing. But yeah, I know. After I get done, I don't give my opinion on anything. But for you guys here at the radio show, that's what it's all about. We're sharing with one another. All right, D-Light. Yep, the slide to frame play helps reliability. Same deal with high powers. Yes, my mistress to my 1911s. They were made to be dirty and still work. Yeah, I mean, all those military guns, 1911s, were made to certain specifications, so they can just go, well, you know what, that one fit out. We need to discard that. Let's put this one on there. They needed it to do that. So they were loose. They were sloppy. They were, but hey, that's what made them reliable. I carry one. Hey, all right, perfect topic to watch while cleaning and reassembling my GI model. Yeah, buddy. All right. Hey, Scooter. All right, JW. This one's from JW. What do I adjust my radio dial in order to hear your show in Phoenix metro area? I typically have 960 AM tuned in. This is just a thing that we do on YouTube on the channel JW. I call it the collector's radio show because I guess I'm old school and I remember my grandpa and stuff telling me about those days where they didn't have a television. They just sat there and turned into the radio. So that's just why I call it that. I'm not actually on a radio station. I just call it the radio show. Or I guess these days it would be called a podcast. I don't know. this is about as high tech as it gets for me. It really does. I'm actually surprised that I do this because I'm so analog. All right, Joe P. Swig of coffee for Joe. All right, you mentioned that westerns aren't really your favorites, but did you see the new Nick Cage movie, The Old Way? I did. Entertain me. Very entertaining. Bought it on demand last night. Not my favorite Cage movie, but it definitely entertained for a couple hours. It did. I mean, it was definitely entertaining. It wasn't my favorite Nick Cage movie either. I guess I'm kind of like, I don't know if he's got pigeonholed into it or whatnot, but when I watch a Nick Cage movie or I turn on a Nick Cage movie, I expect to see him acting erratic and crazy and all that. The Old Way was, now back to the westerns now. When it came to westerns for me, and what I mean by that is so many, there's all these other western titles that are out there, but what it boiled down for me growing up, I watched over and over again the ones like all the John Wayne ones, all the Clint Eastwood ones. That was kind of it. I just kind of stayed because it wasn't necessarily because of it was being a western. It's because who was in it? John Wayne. My favorites are Real Bravo, El Dorado, Real Lobo, for the John Wayne ones. And pretty much if you look at those, they have the similar storyline. I love that. John Wayne, good guy, comes around the town, bad guys are in town, he holds up in a building, shoots it out, and kills all the bad guys, because that's what John Wayne does. Similar things to like a lot of the Eastwood ones, we can't deny. So many, Saturday mornings watching High Plains Drifter, it just, you gotta love it, So that aspect, but there's some other ones out there. One of them I really like is the one that came out couple years ago, which it never even made it a disc. I might have to buy a Blu-ray bootleg or something like that. Was actually the western one that was out was The Harder They Fall. I liked it. It was totally, it wasn't worried about being period correct and, well, technically he wouldn't have had that star over here and whatever. He wouldn't have been wearing that hat. That's the stuff that drives me crazy. That's what drives me away from all that. This was just a good old school western that was like, you know what, let's just have some fun and entertain some people. That's what I like. Was John Wayne's, whole costume period correct? No. But he was John Wayne, So anyway, I get off on a tangent on that, but that's what turns me off on a lot of that. It's just that whole thing with the westerns. These guys get just so carried away with that, and I'm like, gosh, man, take a break, try some decaf maybe. But anyway, so back to this, back on topic, Collectors Radio. We got something new here. I actually picked up something new, which is rare these days because I've slowed way down on buying now. I've actually sold more, and I actually just sold some more recently since the last time I saw you. I sold some more stuff. I know, just kind of letting stuff go. I kind of play with something for a little while and then let it go. And this one's probably going to end up that way. I bought it, we're going to play with it for a little while, and then off it will go. For instance, the Springfield Armory Garrison, had it for a little bit, played with it. I let that one's gone. I let it go. There's a lot of them that why accumulate more. So anyway, here it is. I absolutely just had to have one of these. And yeah, some people know right away what it is. 12 gauge shotgun. 12 is the magic number, not just the gauge. Because if you don't know what this is, then Winchester Model 12. Isn't that cool? Look at that. How do you not love that? You just push that button. It's like butter. These things are. So I saw this at a pawn shop, and I just said, you know what? That is super cool, and the price was really good. So price on these, and you know, if you look them up on like, you know, those auction sites, I mean, these things are going up there. I mean, they're getting to the point where they're like, I saw them, some of them as outrageous as $800, which I think is just crazy. But they're out there, and they're, you know, so of course I bought this one. And what's cool about this, I actually got to stick that leaf spring back further into that area there. But it's an old corn cob. I love that. Look at that beautiful corn cob. 4N on that. You know, the pump handle is what I call it. I guess how technical. But I have really had an attraction to a lot of these. And this one here had been refinished. So, of course, I didn't really, you know, care about all that. Actually, I liked that because there was a couple of them over there. The other ones had the original finish on them, but they were really worn. Some of them were okay, but I like the fact that this one looked brand new. I like that. I mean, I didn't care. I wasn't really there for the, you know, I wasn't buying it for, you know, its collector's value or anything. I mean, it still is a artifact from that time. It's still cool. It's retro. It's old. Whoever did the refinishing on it did a really good job because they didn't wash out the stampings. And they did a nice polish job. Even the magazine tube, the barrel, the receiver, it's all gorgeous. And it's got that real, I guess some people call it the glitzy 50s, you know, refinish. And this gun, actually I didn't look it up to know what year it was made. But, yeah, I just saw it and I said, you know what, I've always wanted one. I'm gonna pick that up. So, and of course they, you know, they lowered the price for me to a point where I said, that's hard to pass, so I'm gonna have to take that for now and check it out. So yeah, we're gonna hopefully get some video with this thing and do all that kind of stuff. It does slam fire, so meaning you can actually hold down the trigger there and actually work the pump, and you'll actually hear it, I think, here. Oh. But yeah, it'll that's how you do it. You kind of just hold the trigger down and work that pump, and it'll slam and go off every time you run that home. So that's kind of neat. And then it is a takedown model, which you undo that and you twist it and take it down. Which old fumble hand BATJAC over here. I struggle with it, so I don't even do it unless I absolutely need to. One thing that's really odd about it to me that I felt was just strange, because if you think about this, and I gotta understand 1912, you know, this came out in 1912, but the Winchester 97 was out before this thing, the 1897, and that thing didn't have this problem. And it's weird. It's just strange. Now I got some dummy shells here, just for this occasion. Okay, they're dummy shells. They're the primers are popped. They've been dumped out and filled in with plastic. Okay, so they're dummies. But the loading on this is strange because you pop it in there, and what holds it in there is the loading gate here. There's no things that clip on there. So when you load the next one, you got to be careful and not fumble it out, because you can see what will happen. Exactly that. you look like some kind of amateur or something. Somebody says, "What the hell is that guy doing?" Look at that. You just pop that. I mean, if you don't mess it up, that's what will happen. So you gotta kind of just be aware of that. But I guess once you get used to that, it's no big deal, and then, you know, and it'll be fine. You know, I mean, everything operates fine. But I thought that was a little weird, and a little quirky. I'm like, why would they do that? That's strange. That's very strange. But you know what? It's classic. It's retro. I'm gonna have fun with it, and you know, go from there. You know what? I mean, I may hang on to it. I may not. I don't know. Usually stuff like this, but who knows? That's what it is these days. A lot of times I let things go. But you know what? It was so inexpensive that I may hang on to it for a while, because it is cool. Always wanted one. And I remember living back on the island, this one shop, he had one, and I kind of flirted around with the idea to get it, but I didn't end up pulling the trigger, pun intended, on getting it. And this is kind of an old story, and my friend over there in Tennessee, you know what I'm talking about because you were there with me on the island, and I know you, if you're listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about. But during when I had my shop down there, and a guy came in, and he had bought that very shotgun, this one, Model 12 or whatever it was. It was a, I don't know what year, but he bought a Model 12 from the guy, and it was the one I was looking at, and I was wondering about it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, now this is, keep in mind, this is like 15 years ago or something. He paid like almost $1,000 for it. I'm like, what? And and he showed it to me. Brought it into the shop, and the finish was trashed. The stock was horrible. Like, it had a big split going down the stock. I mean, this guy got taken for a ride with it, and I was like, wow, that thing is in really bad shape. The guy that bought it was really he had buyer's remorse like you wouldn't believe. So that kind of goes, and there was a lot of things on that, like reminiscing back on the islands. That's one thing I don't miss. It's like, trying to buy classic stuff was really hard. And there was one, like I said, there was this one seller in particular that wasn't the greatest to deal with. He would always try to juice you for as much as he could get. And now on the island, because there wasn't really much competition, he could get you for whatever he wanted to. And he will do that. He's going to do it. So you just kind of got to pick your battles with that, and he has every right to do it. He has, capitalism, whatever, so it's your choice rather to do it or not to do it. So there was one of those type of things, and there was a few things like that I wanted, and this was one of them. So now I got one. Here it is, Model 12 Winchester. Super cool stuff. I love it. The bluing's gorgeous on it. I'm glad I went with the one that's been refinished and everything. So it's had its work done, but it's just it's cool. And I tell you, if you never worked in action on one of these, it's just slick. So it's kind of, like I said, it's quirky. It's got its weird things. I got to readjust this spring because when I got it, there was a dowel tube in there that restricted the amount of shells for hunting. The barrel's been chopped down to 18 because I didn't have any use, I wasn't going to hunt with it, so I didn't need it to be restricted to 2 shells, and I didn't, and I didn't want this, giant 28-inch barrel. So this one being refinished and cut down and everything, it made it. I was like, you know what? That's the one for me. That's the one I want. So, yeah, that's cool. You know what? There it is. Some people say, well, it lost all its collector's value because it's been cut down and refinished. Look, it was refinished and overhauled long before I even got it. So. But it's cool because it's still intact. It's still here. The wood is still there. All the feel and everything. So it's still you can enjoy it and love it, and that's what it is, and that's what I wanted. I didn't it wasn't intending it to be a safe queen. So gonna get out with it and have some fun, and you too as well. And thank you for joining me on the Saturday morning radio show.